Welcome to Grace Force YouTube. I'm Pastor Dan. There's a set of questions that people have been sort of throwing at me this year, and it just made me work. So let me talk about it a little bit with you. One has been, yes, we know we're saved by Jesus. Does it matter what you believe? Could you believe maybe some kind of awful things that you wouldn't say about anybody of your friends, but you believe that about God? Will God keep you out of heaven? You believe in Jesus, but you believe wrong things about Him. Will He keep you out? What if you don't believe in God at all, but you're just a good person and you want to be there? If it turns out there is a God there, that's okay with you, but you don't believe in Him now. What about that? Someone asked me that. The third one, what about this idea of a day of worship? Yes, God wants us to worship Him. Does it matter which day? If your work schedule, your other life schedule doesn't fit, does it matter as long as you love God, love Jesus, and worship Him? And so I began to work on that one. My tradition says God settled it at the beginning on the seventh day. That's when He created 6 days, rested on the seventh. I think most people agree with that. But the whole world has kind of evolved and shifted over to another day. Does it matter to God? So let me throw some metaphors at you that I've been trying out on people. Let's say there's a young man who graduates from college. He's really never sort of lived out in the world. He's never traveled. He's got a month free before he really has to do the 9 to 5. And so he says, let me do a road trip. And he's driving across the desert and he's heading there and he's hungry and he's thirsty and he sees these bright lights and signs that says free food. And he drives into Las Vegas. And it's just amazing, and all the colors and all the signs. And he goes to the hotel with the free food, and he can't believe it. There's free food, and it's spectacular. And they give you some chips, and they give you a free room, and you can go down to this table, and you can tell them what number you want, and the ball bounces around, and they give you $200. You can't believe it. And you can go to this little window, and you can give them some money and watch some horses run on television, and all of a sudden they give you $500. He just loves it. But after a few days, they don't give you the free room anymore. They don't give you a handful of chips anymore. They don't give you free meals anymore. And now you got to go to the ATM and draw out some more money because you don't always win. And if you're a few $1,000s down, you're with someone in Starbucks and someone says, where do you think all the money comes from for all these big beautiful buildings and fountains and signs? And he thought, this thing is the beast. This thing is going to get me. I got to get out of here before I lose everything. And he decides to go skiing. He's up on a mountain and he's riding up this chairlift, and a guy meets him on the chairlift, and he's just a great guy, and he's fun and he's friendly. He said, hey, well, we're going to ski together. We're about the same ability. And he skis with him and they eat with him, and the guy says, we're having a party tonight. You want to come over? And he is just brought into this great group of people. They're fun and they're alive and they want him to be in their group. But there's one night where he's just having dinner with that guy, and he says, let me show you something. He brings out a little white bag with some powder, and he shows him how to do it, and he gets a jolt of excitement like he has never had before. Now you don't have to go out, you don't have to be with girls, you don't have to go to concerts or to a basketball game. You can just sit in your house and get such great excitement and happiness. But after a while, the drugs are not free anymore, and you have to pay for them. And then the times in between the drugs are not much fun anymore. And he realized, this thing is a dragon. I better get out of this before it gets me. Decides to go down to Brazil. And he hears that famous song, The Girl from Ipanema, and he goes to Ipanema Beach, and he's sitting at a cafe, and a girl walks by in a swimming suit, and she smiles at him. Wow, yeah, there's a girlfriend back home, but boy, the next night he's sitting there having a drink, and she sits by him, and she says, hey, what's your name? And they talk, and pretty soon there is a relationship. And they're dating, and there are walks at midnight and sunset, and there's cruises on the ocean, and he's pretty smitten by this girl. And the girl back home is long forgotten. But one night he comes on a night when he's not usually there, and he sees her from a distance, and she's with someone else. The next night when he's with her, he says, I came down the other night and I saw you with another guy. Well, who was that? They said, oh, that's my brother. Another night, it's a cousin. She seems to have a lot of brothers and cousins. And then there's a day when he sees her picture in the paper. And she's a prostitute. And he thinks, maybe that girl at home looks pretty good after all this. I better get away from this. And so he learns a lesson about the beast and the dragon and the prostitute. God wants people to know in the book of Revelation, there are some powers out in the world, and they will get you, and they're a dragon, and they're a beast, and they're a prostitute. And they say really wrong things about God. And God wants you to know, because he cares about that. He wants you to believe the truth about him. One more metaphor. I'm eating one night in a cafeteria or the restaurant, eating my broccoli, and someone comes up to me and says, have you heard about chocolate? And he hands me a bag of M&Ms. Oh, that's amazing. Why am I eating broccoli when I can have chocolate? The next day he brings me a Hershey bar. The next day he brings me a whole box of See's candy. Pretty soon, chocolate. And then he takes me to Gilladera Square in San Francisco, and we get a sundae with 3 huge scoops of chocolate ice cream that's the best. Covered with chocolate syrup, covered with bits and pieces of chocolate bars and Snickers bars and whatever. And chocolate is the best. And I go to everybody when I see them eating broccoli, and I say, have you heard about chocolate? God is a God of chocolate. He wants you to know the dangers of the beast and the dragon and the prostitute, and how they're going to lead you astray, and you're going to be sorry if you don't get out of that, come out of that. And then there's going to be a message at the end of the world about our amazing God, the God of chocolate. And that God, that one who has chocolate, invites you over to a dinner where he is going to serve chocolate. And there's going to be chocolate sundaes, and there's going to be a chocolate tower, and he is the one who makes the best chocolate in the world. He says, come on over Saturday. We're going to have all our friends together, and we're going to eat the best chocolate. When the maker of the best chocolate invites you to come to have chocolate on Saturday, are you going to say to him, I really got some other stuff going on Saturday. Is it okay if I come on Sunday or Thursday or Friday or some other day? No. When the best chocolate maker invites you to come on Saturday to get the best chocolate, that's when you go. The argument is not trying to be right. Someone is more right than another, and this day is right and that day is wrong. The question is about the one who makes chocolate, who invites you to come and be with him. We don't want to try to persuade people that our day is better than their day. We want people to fall in love with the God of chocolate. And if they fall in love with the God of chocolate, they will go be with the God on the day when he gives out chocolate. Does that make sense? God is an amazing God. Why would anyone be eating broccoli when there's a God of chocolate? And I want to go on the day when he's making the best chocolate. This is Grace Force YouTube. Thanks for being with us today. So we'd love it if you enjoy what we have made, if you can like it and forward it on to other people, and we'll build the ministry on social media. Grace Force YouTube. God bless.